Hello everyone, Charles Watts here, the Arsenal correspondent at Goal, joining you on Friday. I hope you've enjoyed your week and you can have a very good weekend coming up. I hope the World Cup has kept you entertained. My God, yesterday was fun, wasn't it? Last night's game, what entertainment that was. If that's anything to go by, then today should be an absolute belter. And there is lots of Arsenal involvement today, of course, with Brazil playing, Ghana playing. I'll talk about that a little bit later on in this video and reflect on yesterday's truly dramatic events in Qatar, which involved Tomiyasu as well, which was good to see. So I'll talk about that a little bit later in the video, but I wanted to start on the news today that's come out in terms of Arsenal releasing their financial accounts for the year ending May 2022. Now, slight disclaimer at the start of this, I am far from a financial expert. I struggle to keep my own finances under control, let alone know what I'm talking about when it comes to multi-million pound revenue of a Premier League football club, but I will do my best anyway. If you haven't seen them yet, I have put a piece out on Goal as well, which you can find on my social media, which explains it a little more in depth as well, looking at the numbers and what have gone on. The main takeaway from it, the main headline obviously, is that Arsenal have lost £45.5 million for the year ending May 2022, which is quite a big number, but it is down significantly on the previous year, which I have here. You're going to have to excuse me again. I'm going to have to look down on my computer while I'm talking here because I've got to try and I can't remember all the numbers in my head. So last year the loss was 107.7 million. This year it's gone down to 45.5 million. Now, a massive part of that loss was the fact that we've got fans back in the stadiums now, which was huge. I mean, the year before, which was the COVID year, the behind closed door year, Arsenal's match day revenue is just absolutely nothing. I've got it here. It was just 3.8 million for match day revenue for the year previously, and this year with fans back in the stadium, that has gone up to 79.4 million. So I mean, at 76 million pound rise when it comes to match day revenue. So that's a big reason why there's been a big drop in terms of what the loss was in 2021 to what the loss is now. So on that's a big plus point. Arsenal got match day revenue back. Broadcasting dropped though. That went down from 146 million to 146 million, from 184 million. A big part of that is Arsenal weren't in Europe. And, Arsenal, in sort of summing up these results, they point to the fact that there was no European football as a major contributing factor to the losses that they suffered. And the broadcasting drop was definitely to do with that. There was no UEFA contract. So, and that's a big part of the reason that dropped. And the previous year as well included more than just one season because of the way that the sort of COVID worked and the delayed start and end to the previous season. It's a little bit complicated, but that's the main reasons behind the broadcasting drop. Commercial revenues increased slightly, just by a few million. That's something Arsenal definitely need to work on, and they need to work on it a lot. I think next year it should be slightly better because the new Adidas deal kicks in. But yeah, I do think that sort of commercially, we've said it for so long with Arsenal, they've got to improve commercially. When you look at how they compare to the other big clubs, even Tottenham, Arsenal used to be miles ahead of Tottenham. Now Tottenham are ahead of Arsenal, and that's something they've got to work on. They've got to improve commercially when it comes to these sort of deals that they have been doing. Another main sort of headline from the finances is the wage bill being slashed, and that is quite significant. In the previous year's accounts, wages listed were 244 rather than just wages for players, but wage costs were listed at 244.4 million, and that has now dropped to 212.3 million, so a drop of about 32 million pounds there in the wage bill. Arsenal, of course, worked very, very hard to reduce wage costs in the last couple of years. Several big name players going out. I think that figure won't include some of the others that have gone out as well. And sort of explaining that drop, Arsenal side said, on the player side, there's been a process of restructuring the men's first team squad to improve the efficiency of the squad. This includes changes made in earlier years, but the full benefit has only been realised in 2021-22 figures. So that's big for Arsenal, and that is going to, I imagine that that wage bill is going to have to go increase a lot now because they've worked hard on bringing it down. But we all know that has been bringing down to make room for new contract renewals, which is going to kick in, hopefully, fingers crossed, as long as Arsenal secure those contract renewals for Saka, for Martinelli, for Saliba. Gabriel's just been done. Ramsdale's going to have to happen fairly soon. Those sort of players, we're going to see the wage bill shoot up again. But that's just a given, because if you want to keep your top players, you're going to have to pay them top dollar. And the work that Arsenal have done in the last 2 years to reduce it by by over 30 million is going to certainly help with that when it comes to renewing these big contracts that are coming up. Player sales continues to be disappointing, and Arsenal note that in their comments when they're summing up these results. I mean, it's just not great. Profit on player sales was 20.2 million. That was up slightly on the 11.8 million the previous year. Loans brought in a further 2 million, but it's still just not enough, is it? If you're a top club and the money you got to pay on wages, the money you spend on bringing players in, and Arsenal spent fortunes again this summer bringing players in, about 125 odd million on top of what they spent the previous year. You've got to start selling as well, and selling well, and Arsenal have been awful at that for a long time. And 20.2 million, that's just nothing, is it? It's a drop in the ocean. They've got to do more than that. You've got to sell players for around 20 million, not all your players combined for 20 million. And so that's an area to improve. And Arsenal again sort of admitted that in these, they say player trading profits continue to have a significant impact on overall profitability, and the club's ability to realise profits during 2021 was adversely impacted by market conditions. I mean, you can say it all you want, but they still could have sold better. Even players like Mavropanos, you looked at Guendouzi, those sort of transfers, they didn't get the right sort of money for those players, and they've got to improve that. It's got to be one of the priorities for Edu. He's got lots of praise for a lot of the work he's done transfer-wise and the restructuring of the squad, but I think the big question mark over at Edu still remains his ability to sell players, and this is just another example of that. I mean, the year-end cash position Arsenal was better than last year. It's up to 30 million from 18.8 million, and Arsenal have sort of added to that the renewal process for season tickets for the start of the season was really, really strong, and not all of that could be reflected in this year's account, so we should see more benefit from that next year. And in summing up, they spoke a lot. They praised Stan Kroenke and the ownership of KSE, and they admitted that securing European football absolutely is vital now to making Arsenal at least break even again. If you're Arsenal, you don't just want to be break even; you want to make some money. I mean, Arsenal had so many years making significant amounts of money. I don't think they have to make that again, because you're going to have to spend big on wages, spend big on players, but you've got to at least break even. It's been a long time since Arsenal have done that, admittedly during COVID, which hasn't helped, but now they've got to start working again. You can't keep relying. The owners aren't going to keep putting in the money or finding the money to allow the club to spend like they did last summer and this summer. They're going to have to improve on selling players to bring players to bring money into the club, and they're going to have to get back into European football. And hopefully that is going to happen. I mean, they've said in sort of summing it up at the end, they said after praising the Kroenkes, they said qualification for the Europa League for 2022-23 represents a positive first step and can be viewed alongside the start to this season, which has so far been encouraging. So that's that when it comes to Arsenal's financial results that have been released today. If you want a far better summing up of it and explanation, then the brilliant Swift Ramble, I'm sure we'll be doing that very, very soon. He usually does it on Twitter. I've seen that he's not doing that anymore, and you've got to sign up for his newsletters, which will get emailed straight to you. They are free to sign up to, so if you go and find it on his Twitter account now, you can sign up for that, and he will send over into your email box all the brilliant work he does when it comes to not just looking at Arsenal's finances, but all of football finances. Just a brilliant account to follow, and he knows what he's talking about, unlike me. Okay, so moving away from that, let's talk about the World Cup yesterday. How good was the World Cup? Some of those games, I mean, just for those glorious 80 seconds at some point during the second half yesterday when both Germany and Spain were going out. Just absolutely remarkable, considering both Germany and Spain were winning at half-time, and then all of a sudden Japan come back, winning 2-1 against Spain. Germany suddenly 2-1 down on Costa Rica, and both sides are going out. It only lasted 80 seconds. Of course, Spain ended up going through, but Japan, absolutely incredible. I mean, there was so much controversy, obviously, about the goal. I thought it was really odd that they didn't show the replays or the proof that they had at the time just to clear it all up. I'm sure, obviously they had proof. They wouldn't have been able to overturn the decision and say that the ball hadn't crossed the line. They must have had proof to be able to overturn that decision, but it's just odd that they didn't show the broadcasters so that everyone watching around the world could have definitive proof straight away, and that could have taken away the controversy of it all. But I don't want to focus too much on that. I just want to focus on the football because it was brilliant. And I thought Japan, that second half, what a performance to come back against the Spain side who are playing so well, to win like that, just brilliant. And Tomiyasu came on, and he's not fit. He's clearly not fit. He's nursing that hamstring injury, which fingers crossed he manages to nurse the whole way through the tournament. But just when he came on, it was just 25 minutes of the most top quality defending from Tomiyasu. No one could get past him. It was just magnificent, as he was when he came on in the win against Germany as well. And just reminding everyone, Tomiyasu, he's had a difficult season at Arsenal because of the form of Ben White. He hasn't played as much as he wanted, or he certainly hasn't started as much as he wanted, but he is a top quality defender, and we saw that again yesterday. It was a really big day for him. You saw the celebrations. I mean, a historic day for Japan. And just a fantastic performance. Germany, of course, go home. I say that with a smile on my face. Come on, if you're German, I might apologise, but it's quite hard not to smile when you're English and you see German crash out in the group stages. I'm sure you'll all be laughing when England go out as well later on in the tournament. But just a brilliant day, and hopefully today follows suit, because we've got some cracking games. Ghana, Uruguay, as I said yesterday, with the whole Luis Suarez soap opera sort of running in the background, should be an absolute blinder. Both teams need to win. Hopefully Thomas Partey can have a fantastic game and get Ghana over the line. And then you've got Brazil, Cameroon, which I think is going to be a fantastic game as well. And of course, hopefully, fingers crossed, it sounds like two of the Arsenal players are going to be starting in Gabriel Martinelli and Gabriel Jesus. Ahead of that game, Ronaldo, not Cristiano Ronaldo, but in my mind, the Ronaldo, the greatest Ronaldo, has been talking, the Brazilian legend, of course, and he's been talking about Gabriel Jesus. The two of them are good friends. And I thought these comments were really good. He was talking about Jesus, and there's lots of stuff being said about Jesus and been written in Jesus, certainly back in Brazil, because he didn't score in the 2018 World Cup. That really impacted him and hit his confidence. He hasn't scored yet in this tournament, although he's only come on twice as a substitute. So there's a lot of focus on the fact that Jesus hasn't scored. And Ronaldo was asked about it, and he said, look, Gabriel Jesus is having a really spectacular year at Arsenal. I was talking to him about how much pleasure I'm getting from watching Arsenal play this year. Gabriel today is one of the best strikers in the world and is much more mature than in 2018. The goal will come naturally, and this concern should not cross your mind. All he has to do is take the field and do what he has to do. Really good comments there from an absolute legend of the game. I love the fact that he told Gabriel Jesus he's getting a lot of pleasure from watching Arsenal play this year. That is high praise indeed from Ronaldo. I really hope he scores today, Gabriel Jesus. You could just see, and I've talked about it in previous videos, when he's come on in the last couple of games, just how determined he is to get into a position. He wants the ball all the time. He just wants to score. Whether that is a negative thing for him and it's going to make him sort of snatch at chances, kind of like he's been doing at Arsenal during this sort of scoreless run he's been on in the build-up to the World Cup. Hopefully not, but I just know what a big thing it will be for him just to score and sort of be able to put that to bed and just know he's got his World Cup goal, and that will just be huge for him. And it'll be huge for Brazil as well, because he's going to be really important for them as they try and win the trophy once again. And for Martinelli as well, if he does start, which it sounds like he's going to, the league team that is sort of coming out, all of them have got Jesus and Martinelli in attack. It'd be a huge moment for Martinelli, his first World Cup start. And when you consider where he was when he arrived at Arsenal just a few years ago, as an absolute unknown from like the fourth tier of Brazilian football, to 3 years later be playing and starting for Brazil at a World Cup. It's just huge credit he deserves for what he's done since he's arrived at England, and also a lot of credit has to go to Arsenal and the work they've done in bringing him through and progressing from Unai Emery on, obviously, to Mikel Arteta as well. That's about it from today's video. I'm sure you've seen it. Retro collection has been launched, another Arsenal retro collection, lots of nice stuff in there. Head over and have a look at it if you want to spend your money. Perfect time for Christmas, of course. Arsenal don't miss a trick when it comes to merch. There's a pop-up shop in Soho in London that's popped up. That'll be running from Friday to Sunday, where you can go and get your hands on it. And of course, it's on Arsenal Direct as well, and the Armoury at the stadium. So keep your eyes peeled for that if you haven't seen it. Until next time, thank you very much for watching, everyone. Appreciate your time as always. Anything you've agreed with, disagreed with in this video, let me know in the comments below. Have a great weekend. Enjoy the football later. Speak to you soon.